Alright guys, so in this video we're going to look at links and images, and what I've done here is I've made the browser smaller so that I could fit it on the same screen as the editor so that we can see what's going on at the same time, because we have auto reload with live server. And I won't do this for every video, just the ones where we don't need a lot of real estate in the browser window here. So let's go ahead and create a new file. I'm going to call this 05_links_images.html. All right, and I'm just going to close this up to give us some more room. And we're going to generate a boilerplate. And when I say boilerplate, it just means, you know, our starter template, whatever, our structure. So the title, I'm going to say links and images. And let's go ahead and let's first start with an external link. So if you want to link to another website, you can do that. So I'm going to put a paragraph in between all these links. Actually, you know what? I won't do that because I want to show you something. So a link is represented with an A tag. So I'm going to say A tab or A enter. And notice that with VS Code, it gives us this href attribute right away. And that's because every link needs an href attribute because that's the location that you're linking to. So in this case, let's link to http google.com. And inside here is what we want to put, whatever we want to click to link, like some text or an image or whatever, that's what we want to put in here. So let's just say click for Google. And we'll save this. I'm just going to add a comment here. We'll say external link. And let's go ahead and save and run with live server. Okay, so we have this link here that says click for Google. By default, it's going to be colored differently. It's going to have an underline. And if I click it, it brings us to Google. Now notice it opens in the same tab. And when you link to an external site like this, usually you want to open it in a new tab because you don't want people to drift away from your website. You're trying to show them something, but at the same time, you want your website to stay open. So what we would do is add a target attribute. Now I'm going to show you another little trick here, a keyboard trick. If you want to copy this whole line down, what you can do is hold Shift Option or Shift Alt on Windows and then hit the down arrow, and that will just copy that line for you. Okay, and another tip, if you want to, you see how I'm just going back and forth here, one character at a time. If you want to go by word, you can hold down Alt, or actually on Windows it's Control, I believe, but on a Mac it's Option. And if you hit the over arrow, notice how it goes across the whole word. Okay, so it'll go from here to here, so you can go across much faster. All right, and if you want to go all the way to the beginning, you can hit the home key. If you want to go all the way to the end of the line, you can hit the end key. So it's very helpful to be able to navigate very quickly like that. So again, like I was saying, if we want to open in a different tag, we can use the target attribute. And for a value, we want to do _blank. Okay, so we'll save that. And what I wanted to show you is, notice how the next link here is not on a separate line. The reason for that is an A tag is actually what's called an inline element, so it doesn't knock it onto the next line like if it were a paragraph, which is actually a block element. And we're going to talk about inline and block elements, I think 2 videos from now, but I wanted you to know that there are some inline elements and there are some block elements. Now if I want this on a new line, I could put a line break, or I could just wrap them in a paragraph tag. Okay, and another tip is if I want this moved up here, I can actually just hold either Alt on Windows or Option on a Mac, and I can just bring it up. I can move this line wherever I want. All right, so we'll do that, and let's put another paragraph tag, and we'll bring that up into here. So now if I save, they're on separate lines because a paragraph is actually a block level element. And if I click the second one, it opens up in a new tab because of the target attribute. Okay, because I set it to blank. All right, so these are external links. Usually your links are going to be internal because you're going to be linking to other pages in your website, like let's say an about page or a services or contact page, something like that. So since we have these HTML files in the same folder, let's link to one of these. So we'll link to the 04 typography. So I'm going to close that back up. Let's say internal link, put a paragraph, and we'll put an A tag with an href that points to / meaning the current folder that we're in. And then with VS Code, notice that it actually shows us the HTML files that are in this folder. Okay, the / means the current folder we're in. So I'm going to choose the typography HTML, and in here let's just say typography, and we'll go ahead and save that. And then if we click typography, it brings us to that page. Okay, we don't have to put the whole like 127 001 5500. We don't have to put that in here because we're already in the same folder. So we just need that /. All right, and I'm just going to click the back button. So we can link to any inner page that way. So now let's take a look at images. So this is our folder right here, HTML Sandbox, and I'm going to just create a new folder here called images. Okay, usually you'll see this, or it might be called IMG. A lot of times you'll see that on in websites and applications. But in this images folder, I'm just going to bring over a sample image, which you should have in your HTML Sandbox in the project files, and I'm going to bring this onto our web page. Okay, so I'll go down here and let's say local image. And I'm saying local image because it's actually in our folder. It's in our file structure. You can also link to remote images that are elsewhere, and I'll show you that in a second. But let's go ahead and do an image tag, which is IMG. And in VS Code, if I do IMG enter or tab, it's going to give me two attributes. One is the source, which is the location of the image and the image name, and then one is basically the alternative text. So if for some reason the image doesn't show up, if it's not there or something, this will be the text that's shown. So for the alt, I'll just say my image, and then for the link here, we want to go into the images folder. Notice with VS Code, if I do a / brings down this drop down, and I can choose the images folder, and it even shows me what's in there, the sample.jpg. So I want that. So the location and the image name itself. So if I go ahead and save, there it is. The image shows up. Now it goes out of view here because we have no CSS, so it's just going to show the full size image. But with CSS, we can actually change. Actually, we can change it with HTML as well. If I wanted to, I could add a width here. This isn't really something I'd recommend doing. Usually you would use CSS, but you can set the width and height in HTML. So if I set this to 200 and save, now you can see that it's smaller. And you can do the height as well. But the height will auto adjust if you add a width. So we can also do remote images. So same way, IMG, and alt, I'll just say my image 2. And for the source, I could do any source I want. Actually, there's a really good image sharing site. If you go to source.unsplash.com, and we go down here, you can get random images from a specific user of the site. What I want though is, let's see, there's a fixed daily, weekly photo, so you could grab any of these URLs. Right here, random search term. So if you want a random image like of nature and water, you can just grab this URL and put in nature and water. So let's do that. So if we go back, if I save, it's going to give me an image that's 1600 pixels by 900 pixels of nature water. Let's make this smaller. We'll say 200. Okay, so there we go. And this only works because the unsplash.com allows us to do this. They basically allow us to specify the size in here. You can't do this with just any link, any image link. Same thing with keywords here. If I wanted, like, let's say building, and there we go, we get some kind of picture of a building. I think it's yeah, it's random. So if I click reload, it's just going to be a random building. And again, this has nothing to do with HTML. It's just the Unsplash service is an image sharing service, or an image placeholder service that allows us to do this. So it's pretty cool. If you're building something and you just need some kind of random image and you don't want to have it local, you can just link to Unsplash like this. All right, so I think that's going to do it, guys. In the next video, we're going to start to look at lists and tables.